Okay, today I'm going to introduce circles to you. And you've done a little bit with it in the past. You are used to seeing the formula I wrote on that first blank for you already. That's called your center radius form of a circle. The center point is at h comma k, so what you do is whatever's inside parentheses of the formula, you change the sign, and that becomes your center point. And the radius is just r, so whatever it equals, just take the square root of it, and that's going to be the radius of your circle. What's new to you guys is called the standard form of the circle. For standard form, what you would have to end up doing is you expand the center radius form and set it equal to 0. I will show you how to get that in the next problems here. The coordinates of P is on the circle, and C is the center point. Write the equation of each circle in center radius form and in standard form. Okay, what I want to do is I want to do the second problem with you because that's a little more difficult, and I'm going to leave you guys back with the first problem. So the second problem here, what we have to do is, the first thing is find the radius, so we can write it in center radius form because we have a center point. So to find the radius, what you do is you take the distance between the 2 points. And it's been a while since you've done distance. The distance formula from last year is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. It doesn't matter which one you call 2 and 1. So I'm going to choose to say 5 minus 1. I did my y's. It doesn't really matter which order you do it, but I guess to follow the formula, let me do my x's first. So negative 1 minus negative 1 squared plus 5 minus 1 squared. Negative 1 minus negative 1 is 0 squared plus 5 minus 1 squared is 4 squared. 0 squared plus 4 squared, square root is 16, which is 4. Since I have my radius, what I can do at this point is write it in center radius form. Now notice the center point is negative 1, 1. What you have to do to write it in center radius form is you change the sign. So negative 1 will be a positive 1 for the x's. And for the y's, 1 will be a negative 1 for the y's. And then it equals the radius squared. Well, 4 squared is 16. So this is center radius form, which is abbreviated CR. To get it in standard form, what you do is you have to expand it. So x plus 1 squared, we know that that's the same as x plus 1 times x plus 1. And for the y's, we know that that's the same as y minus 1 times y minus 1. X plus 1 times x plus 1 is a FOIL problem. We should be good at these by now. That's x squared plus 2x plus 1. For my y's, that's another FOIL. Y squared minus 2y plus 1 equals 16. Now in standard form, you have to write it highest power to lowest power as well as alphabetical. So x squared is the highest power. And then we have a y squared. And then the x is our next highest power, so 2x minus 2y. And then 1 plus 1 is 2 equals 16. Finally, you do have to set it equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract that 16. And we will get, I'm going to write it over here as a final answer, x squared plus y squared plus 2x minus 2y. And then 2 minus 16 is minus 14 equals 0. And that's our standard form. So center radius and standard. Now just as a review, the first thing we did was we found our radius by finding the distance between the 2 points. And then from there we wrote the center radius form with our center point and our radius. We expanded that form to get our standard form. At this point, I would like you guys to try the problem on the left here with the center point at 0, 0, so it shouldn't be as difficult. Moving down, this is the same type of thing except we see a picture instead. I can see in my picture that I have a center point at, let's do the one on the right again, 1, 2. And my radius is 1, 2, 3, I go 4 out to get to the end of it. So my radius is 4. It does say just write the equation of the circle. So I'm going to use center radius form. Change the sign, remember, of the center point. So x minus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals my radius squared, which is 16. And that's it. I'll have you guys try the one on the left there. Now what I want to do is I want to show you also the other way. This time I give you the equation in standard form. I'm asking you to write it in center radius form. Also find the center and find the radius of the circle. So the first thing you do for center, to get it into center radius form, you're going to write your x's together. So x squared minus 2x. Leave yourself a blank. Just give yourself some space. Then write your y's next. Y squared minus 2y. Leave yourself some space. Equals, and move whatever number you have to the other side. So it equals a positive 7 when I move it over there. And now it's your favorite. We have to do complete the square for each, the x and the y. For complete the square, what you do is you take half of the b value. So half of negative 2 is negative 1. Squared is 1. You add it to both sides, so that's why I left a space. Now half of negative 2 here is negative 1. Squared is 1. Add it to both sides. Remember from our little trick that the function will factor to half of the b value. Remember, half of negative 2 is negative 1. So this is x minus 1 squared plus the y's, or the b value of negative 2 is the half of it is negative 1. So this is also going to factor to y minus 1 quantity squared. 7 plus 1 is 9. And now look, that's center radius form. The center point, to take it out of the parentheses, you do have to change the sign, so it's 1, 1. The radius is the square root of whatever is on the other side of the equal sign, so it's the square root of 9, which is 3. I'm going to leave you guys the second one to do, but I'm going to do the third one with you because the third one's a little bit more difficult as well. So let's practice with that third one here. So x's together. Leave yourself a space. Y's together. Leave yourself a space. Move the 2 to the other side. Take half of 1 for the x's, which is 1/2. Square it is 1/4. Add that to both sides. For the y's, half of negative 3 is negative 3/2. Squared is 9/4. Add that to both sides. Remember that the x's will factor to half the b, so half of 1 was 1/2, so this is x plus 1/2 squared. The y's factor to half the b. Half the b, remember, was 3/2, 3/2, and it was negative, so y minus 3/2 squared. 2 plus 1/4 plus 9/4 is 9/2. My center point will be, change the sign, negative 1/2, positive 3/2. My radius will be the square root of 9/2, which is 3 over the square root of 2. Remember, you can't leave the 2 in the denominator, so I'm going to rationalize by multiplying by the radical 2, numerator and denominator. And you get 3 radical 2 over 2 as a final answer there. At this point, I would like you to try the problems that I did skip.